Chairman, thank you. Thank you to Senator Thune and Senator Fisher for yielding to me to go next. And thank you, Chairman and Ranking Member, for this panel. This is one of the better panels, one of the best panels we've had on, certainly on this topic, but just generally in front of the Commerce Committee for a long time. Everyone has added to the debate and to my knowledge, and I think to my colleagues' knowledge. And while Senator Blumenthal sounded very vociferous there, he still remains my partner and colleague in trying to find a bipartisan compromise so that we can get something done. My view is that over the years, college athletics has grown into an increasingly profitable billion-dollar industry, but the rules surrounding athletic compensation has not kept pace. And I'm of the view that it absolutely needs to change. I believe it's important that we empower amateur athletes to capitalize on their name, image, and likeness. However, at the same time, I want to ensure the integrity of what I guess is called the collegiate model, but what it means to me is that we afford the opportunity for many student athletes to receive an education. And if we don't do this right, those who receive the compensation from NIL may benefit at the demise of those who are playing in sports that are not, quote, profitable, and those who have no capability, therefore, of capitalizing on name, image, and likeness. And it seems to me that we know that college basketball and college football generally subsidize other sports and the athletes who get to participate in those programs. I've introduced a bill that is not necessarily the ideal bill, even for me, the Athletes Protection and Compensation Act, but it's designed to find something that is the sweet spot that brings sides together and try to meet a July 1 deadline. Let me ask, first of all, on this July 1 deadline, Mr. Minton, I want to visit with you, Professor. You started down a sentence. I thought you were going to end your sentence differently than you did, so I'm going to ask my question as the way I thought something you were going to say. As state laws go into effect and student athletes begin to hire agents, sign endorsement deals, and monetize their NIL, these athletes, then what happens on the occurrence if we're not have a law in effect by July 1? Student athletes and student college athletic programs progress under their state laws. They begin to adapt and comply with those laws. And if we fail to act by July 1, what confusion or challenges do we face, or do the athletes face, or the program? So my question is designed to elicit an answer about the importance of the July 1 deadline for Congress to act.
Thank you for that question, Senator. You know, the essence of sports is that everyone plays by the same rules. It's not only rules of the game, eligibility, but in this context, all student athletes nationwide, regardless of sport, should have exactly the same NIL rights. Not every state recognizes name, image, and likeness rights. They're often known as the right of publicity. There's only roughly 30 or so. There are going to be, as others on this panel, including Coach Few mentioned, there's going to be a competitive advantage provided to certain schools. That's one thing that's very problematic. That's one of the other hallmarks of sports, is the uncertain outcome. It distinguishes sports from other forms of entertainment. So we certainly need to have that. So that's what I would say, is that it's just, the cat is going to be out of the bag, so to speak.
How do you put the cat back in the bag after July 1?
I don't think you can. I think that is exactly the problem. And Congress has to come up with, what's going to be the rule? Everyone plays by the same rules across the board. That's what I think is the most critically important thing.
Let me turn to one other topic in this venue of topics related to NIL. Commissioner Gloria Navarez of the West Coast Conference recently wrote that revenue sharing in college sports would be, quote, disastrous for women's sports. She went on to note that even though the WCC had won 9 national championships in soccer and 6 in tennis, men's basketball programs like that of Mr. Few's at Gonzaga, this is my words, not hers, quote, pays the lion's share of the cost of every other opportunity we provide in every other sport. The simple reality is that the only sports that generate necessary revenues to be self-sustaining are football and men's basketball, and all other sports rely upon those two sports to fund their operations. Dr. Fredericks or others, how do you think that the distribution of athletic revenue directly to student athletes would affect collegiate athletics in general?
It will impact it very negatively. Like I said, Howard has the only swim team at a historically black college and university. We have other minor sports that we will not be able to maintain if it becomes unequal, and especially in terms of recruiting, because as we talk about revenue, the television revenue that we generate is minuscule compared to these
Which
other
will diminish the opportunities for all athletes, black, white, women, male, female. There's a consequence here more than just how we effectuate taking care of those athletes that can earn revenue based upon their name, image, and likeness, correct?
That's exactly right, because those athletes, if they would, that NIL, they will gravitate to certain areas. I know there's a discussion about other talents outside of athletics, but the reality is the bulk of where they will gravitate will be to the Power Five and the bigger schools where there's a media market.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Chairman.
you. Senator Shaw.